Marva, for being here today. St. Francis of Assisi, born long ago. And in 1202, as a young man full of venom and fire, he decided he wanted to be a knight to go about crusading. His father was a wealthy businessman, and the father wanted him to continue in the business. But young Francis had other ideas. Well, he found himself involved in a militia to defend Assisi, and he was captured in Italy. By his dress and equipment, the people who captured him knew that he was from a wealthy family, so they knew that they could get a ransom from his family if they let him live. So they let him live. At a certain point, the ransom was paid, and he returned home, but as he was walking home, he was evidently a changed man because he saw a leper on the way home. And instead of ignoring him or going in the other direction, he embraced the leper and kissed the man and filled him with a sense of, I care about you. Francis became convinced after his experience of capture and that big change that God wanted him to help poor people. So he abandoned his possessions. At a Mass in 1208, Francis heard a gospel story being read in which Jesus tells his disciples, "Do not get any gold or silver or copper to take with you in your belts, no bag for the journey or extra shirt or sandals or a staff." And these words pierced Francis's heart and confirmed in him that he was being called to live a very simple life, to preach the gospel to those in need, and to rebuild the church. So in response, the bishop gave Francis a rough tunic, the simplest and roughest of clothes, and he began his work. Francis inspired young men to abandon their possessions and follow him in the work he was doing. And his most special attention was directed towards those who were suffering and who were poor. But an unusual twist happened in Francis's ministry. He had a connection with animals. One day, there's a story, there's many stories, such as the one Chrissy just told. There's very many stories, but in one of them, he comes upon a flock of birds, and he enters the field, and he enters close to them, and they do not flee, and he sees this as a signal to begin to talk to them, and he actually begins to speak to them and to tell them why God has blessed them, and talked about their beautiful feathers and their ability to fly and all of these things, and in many other ways tells them that they are blessed by the Creator. And then after he did this, and supposedly the birds were still, and after he did this, he chastised those who were with him and said, "Why have I never thought about preaching to the birds as well?" There are stories of his interactions with swallows and water birds, fish and falcons, pheasants, crickets, bees and rabbits, and flocks of sheep. While ministering to the poor and sick, Francis contracted malaria. As he approached death, he went back to his native city of Assisi. Francis died in 1226 at the age of 44, having given his adult life to helping those in greatest need. Some think Francis was delusional or a fool. Some think that he was one of the greatest representations of the Christian spirit at its best that had ever arisen on the face of the earth since Christ himself. Others see him as a profound religious and spiritual teacher, but one thing is certain is that he had, for reasons we don't fully know, an impetus, a calling to extend the love that is usually directed towards just humans in religious traditions to a love that embraces all of creation. And so it is that we have, like we do today, a ceremony of blessing the animals. Now is the time in which we will bless our animal companions. We ask you to bring forward at this time, to the right or to the left. I'll be to the right over here, and Chrissy will be over to my left, to bring with you a photo or some representation of your pet. Please come forward now, and if you are online, we ask that you type the name of your pet in the chat.